Hello, you're in Polo Spot. I'm George. Welcome to a special episode for the series on the infrastructure for event-driven systems in AWS. And on this special episode, I will fix a deprecated solution that I used for my Elastic Beanstalk infrastructure. And so if this topic and this channel lines up with your interests, hit the subscribe button and join me in this journey of learning by doing. So, let's start coding. I don't usually connect to my AWS account via web console, but after wrapping up the series on setting up Elastic Beanstalk infrastructure for my event-driven application, I found out that the platform that I have configured is now deprecated by AWS. So let me switch to my browser and show you what I mean. So this is my Elastic Beanstalk environment. So right at the top of the page is a message that says deprecated platforms. And if I scroll to the left of this environment list, the platform state column says deprecated. And this is because the multi-container platform in Elastic Beanstalk is using an old Amazon Linux version. AWS has provided some steps to migrate to Amazon Linux to Docker platform, and this list of steps provide me hints on what I need to do. So let me switch back to my VS Code and start the work. So let me open my terminal and then make sure that I have the latest code on my machine. And then I'll create a branch for my changes. And as usual, let me list down the tasks that I need to accomplish today. I need to change my Docker run configuration from the usual docker run.aws.json file to a Docker compose. So let me open my main.tf inside infrastructure directory. So this is the resource that I need to change, so I'm going to start clearing out the parts of my content. And then set the file name property to Docker Compose YAML file. And now I need to set the content property of this resource to have the usual Docker Compose format. And I need to do a YAML encode of the map properties that I will be setting. So I'm going to set, inside the service block, I will set up my backend service configuration with the image pointing to the same image reference I used previously. And then I need to set the usual port mapping. And for my worker service, I'll add just the image property since my worker service will be running in the background anyways. And that's the first task done. So let me head back to my task list. And then the next task is to ensure that Docker Compose file has reference to the .env file. Elastic Beanstalk creates a .env file after successful deployment. This file actually contains all the environment variables that I've set for my application. And I need to get this file accessible to both my backend service and my worker service. So going back to my main.tf, in my Docker Compose file settings, I need to add env file property that will point to this file. And then I need to do the same thing for my worker service. Because I've changed the configuration file for my Elastic Beanstalk environment from a Docker run configuration file to Docker Compose, I now need to update my environment resource. So if I scroll down to that resource block, so instead of using platform ARN, I now need to replace this with solution stack name. This is a property that will drive my Elastic Beanstalk environment to using the latest Amazon Linux tool for my application instances. And that's it for the second task. This last task of disabling all metadata service endpoint version 1 for Amazon Linux 2 is a security setting that I want to set on my Elastic Beanstalk environment. So back to my main.tf, I am going to add a new settings block and set the value of this namespace setting to true. And that's it. So go back to my task and then time to commit my changes. So I'll open my terminal. And now I'll switch back to my browser and then go to GitHub and then raise a pull request. And then if I scroll down on this page, both my application and infrastructure deployment are triggered automatically. So if I click details, then I can start watching the progress of my deployment. With the application and infrastructure process complete, let me head back to my pull request. And I want to check the output of my Terraform plan. This output tells me that 3 resources will be added, 1 will be changed, and 2 will be destroyed. Unfortunately, because I'm changing my Elastic Beanstalk setup from having to leverage on ECS infrastructure in the background, I have no choice but to have to destroy my existing infrastructure and start from scratch. So I'll open a new tab and then access Terraform Cloud, and then open the workspace that I'm using for this project. And then on Settings, Destruction and Deletion, I'm going to queue up a destroy plan. And then wait for this process to complete. So now that that's done, I'm gonna head back to my pull request in Git and then click Squash and Merge. This should automatically trigger my deployment process. So both my application and infrastructure deployment have completed successfully. So now it's time for me to verify my application. So everything is still working fine. Now, let me go back to my AWS Web Console. I still have this notice of deprecated platform, and that's because I still have the old environment setup lingering on my list, which is right here. However, if I look at the platform state of the new version of my environment, which is this one, and scroll all the way to the left, the platform state column now says supported. This means that the platform used by my environment is actively supported by AWS. And that's a wrap. Stay tuned for the next series as I continue my journey of exploring the DevOps space. And if you like my content and interested in joining me in this journey, click the subscribe button so you can be notified with the new video uploads. Until next time, stay safe.